Some monsters don't hide in the shadows. They walk among us, smiling, charming, hunting. Today we uncover the twisted tale of one of Germany's most terrifying serial killers. Fritz Haarmann, the Butcher of Hanover. A man whose crimes were so gruesome, they blurred the line between nightmare and reality. It was the early 1920s, Germany, broken by World War I, drowning in poverty, hunger, and chaos. In the city of Hanover, the streets were filled with homeless youth, runaways, orphans, drifters, forgotten by a society too shattered to care. And that's where Fritz Haarmann thrived. By day, he was known as a petty trader, a police informant, even a friendly face at the station. But by night, Haarmann became a predator, a man whose dark urges would make him one of the most feared figures in German criminal history. Haarmann's method was chillingly calculated. He haunted the Hanover train station, his hunting ground, where he sought out the desperate boys and young men between the ages of 10 and 22. They were lured with simple promises: food, shelter, maybe even work, a warm place to sleep in a freezing, unforgiving city. Once inside his cramped, dingy apartment, the true horror began. Haarmann didn't use ropes or guns. His murders were shockingly intimate, disturbingly primal. In what he later described as moments of passion, Haarmann would seize his victims during sexual encounters and then bite deep into their throats, crushing the windpipe, severing arteries, and tearing through flesh. A love bite, he called it. But this was no act of love. It was cold-blooded murder. Some victims died instantly. Others may have felt the slow horror of drowning in their own blood inside that tiny apartment, their screams unheard, their faces lost to time. But Haarmann wasn't finished. After the kill, he turned methodical. With butchering skills learned from his days working in a slaughterhouse, he dismembered the bodies. Flesh was stripped from bone. Skulls were crushed to prevent identification. Wrapped in newspaper, the remains were carried to the Liner River and dumped, piece by piece, swallowed by the dark waters. And then there was the most horrifying rumor. Some whispered that Haarmann, taking advantage of wartime hunger, sold the flesh as black market meat, passed off as pork or beef, though never proven. That single thought haunted Hanover for years. Did innocent people unknowingly feast on the remains of the missing? For years, Haarmann walked freely, shielded by his connection to local police. Some officers even laughed off early reports of missing boys. After all, who would suspect their own informant? But in 1924, the river began giving up its secrets. Human remains, skulls, bones stripped clean, surfaced along the riverbank. The public was horrified, and soon the police could no longer turn a blind eye. Haarmann was arrested, and what followed was a trial that shocked the nation. Calmly, almost proudly, he confessed to killing at least 24 boys and young men. Some believe the real number was far higher, lost forever to the river. On April 15, 1925, Fritz Haarmann was executed by guillotine. His final words: "I repent, but I do not fear death." After his execution, his head was preserved, studied by scientists desperate to understand what could create a monster like him. But no science could explain the darkness that drove Fritz Haarmann. He was no supernatural creature, no mythical vampire, just a man who killed because he could. His story left Hanover haunted, a city forever scarred by the realization that sometimes the real monsters are the ones wearing a smile. Fritz Haarmann wasn't just a killer, he was a reflection of a society crumbling. In the shadows of desperation and decay, he thrived, and it leaves us wondering how many more like him slipped through history's cracks, their twisted truths waiting to be uncovered. If you're drawn to the darkest corners of human nature, subscribe, because here at Twisted Truths, the story never ends.